tripod. Well, just get it all like here.
Chuck it out of the technical area.
Huh?
Chuck it out of the technical area.
Because you do it. Behind you.
So just grab it.
Like I haven't done this idea.
Where do you want to go?
It's really open.
Is it?
Yeah, from this position. Right, it's just anything we get to talk about. Because like this, I'll have to go like this side, you guys don't have to go in. Other way around? Yeah, I'll go that side, you go this side.
We want to be
What's your name? Oscar.
Oscar, usually. Eugene.
Sorry guys, are you going to be putting that one up?
Yeah.
Are you able to, if you set it up like underneath?
Yeah, I'm just going to set it up here and bring it out.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah. Kickoff exclamation.
Last season's Nike Cup finalists go head-to-head for the second time in season 2025 this Sunday afternoon as Preston Lions prepare to host Bulleen Lions in a game of great significance for both teams. Preston coming into today off one of their poorest runs of form in really a number of years and trying to keep their finals hopes alive heading into the final couple of months of the campaign. For Buleen, they too are right in the mix in terms of finals football. They're in a much better position than their opponents today. In fact, a win could see them leapfrog a couple of opposition and end up as high as third to end this round of NPLW Victoria football. My name is Oscar Rutherford. Thank you for your company for this afternoon's big clash in Melbourne's north. Both coaches have made a couple of changes to their lineups from their last league outings. For Preston, there's another change in goal as Maggie Byrne reclaims the starting spot from Sophie Dean. Meanwhile, last season's best and fairest winner Ellie Lamont is back in the starting 11 for this afternoon's game. She takes the place of Valentine Percy, who will start this afternoon from the bench. Buleen, meanwhile, one of the teams who have benefited the most from the mid-season transfer window. A number of big names coming into the club, returning to the club as well. Caitlin Friend has made a couple of changes from their last league game against Spring Hills last weekend. Isabella Accardo and Grace Cagnina are into the starting 11, whilst Mila Bullich and Annie Yates have dropped to the bench for this afternoon's clash. Just a few moments away now from kickoff. Our central referee, Caitlin Williams, standing on the centre spot. And Preston will be the team to get us underway. And with the blow of the whistle, Preston get things started. A cool afternoon, somewhat overcast. There have been showers across Melbourne throughout the day. That's an early giveaway and a really good look in the opening seconds for Buleen. Ava Bridus fluffs her lines. A glorious chance with really the first kick of the game. And Buleen Lions will not be able to believe that they passed up that opportunity. And well, for Preston, it's a fantastical escape. They've gotten away with that one. They are coming into today's game off the bit of a losing streak. They've lost their last 3 league outings. It's been an uncharacteristically poor season for Dan Foden's team. Now very much at the point where they need to start picking up points really from today. And now it is the hosts who make their first venture forward. The attempted cross comes in from Lamont. Opts for the retreat before the long ball is sent into the penalty area. It could find its way all the way through to Meba Tanaka. The Buleen defence comes away with the ball, at least momentarily. Grace Johnston cross into the box. Headed well clear by Bella Accardo. So no shortage of entertainment value in the first 90 seconds of this one. Both teams have come flying out of the blocks. So we see Tiff Eliadis on the ball now for Buleen. Another of the new recruits. Lamont pinching back the ball high up the field. Opportunity for Henderson. Pulls the trigger, but that one's a fairly comfortable claim for Erin Hudson. That's now both teams coughing up possession in really awkward spaces on the park, but both have gotten away with it. And now for the first time in the game, Buleen will look to just assert themselves with a bit of ball control. Eliadis' header down only finds Yamada. Eliadis will get another look at it now. This is near Saleh for Buleen. Runs into a bit of trouble in the shape of Eliza Amendolia, and Yamada eventually winning back possession for Preston. And now Talevski uses her centre-back partner in Emma Checker as the hosts look for their own first spell with the ball at their feet. Those 3 consecutive losses for Preston coming into today. Box Hills, Spring Hills and Alamein all getting the better of them last week. A bit of late heartbreak against Alamein at this very venue, of course. All 3 of those defeats happening here at BT Connor Reserve. So it's not been a happy few weeks at home for Preston, as they now find themselves clinging on barely to the hopes of a late charge towards finals. Coming into today, 10 points behind 4th place Burundara. There is still time to make up that deficit, particularly if they can beat one of their direct rivals for one of those final positions in Bulleen. That ball slightly misdirected, and it will allow the visitors to get play back underway with a throw of their own. Grace Cagnina takes it short. Massey retreats to the fullback, who sets the striker a task, and too significant a task in the end. Bulleen, as mentioned, having all those big names coming back into the side for the back half of the campaign. It's almost unrecognisable, the starting 11, when you compare that to most of the first few months of the season. And they're still in a fairly comfortable position, as mentioned, a win today taking them back inside the top 4. This is Johnston for Preston. Considers the cross, instead goes more conservatively, using Mbaye Tanaka, whose cross inside is met by Eliadis. May well be able to hear the characteristic shouting of Dan Foden from the sideline, urging his team on, as it's more than capable of doing for pretty much the entire 90 minutes. Zeus looking to return the ball to Bridus. A couple of the players who've come to Bulleen from Melbourne Victory, where they spent the A-League Women's campaign. This is Sarah Kane, a player who did feature heavily in the first few months of the season as well. That ball over the top, setting a task for Alana Cordolino. Too much on the ball. Bulleen have had a good week, not only picking up that win against Spring Hills in their last league outing, but also progressing to the semi-finals of the Nike Cup in midweek, getting the better of Alamein. Just a couple of fantastic goals from Nia Saleh and Danny Buttress. Danny Buttress, who isn't in the matchday squad this afternoon. Leading scorer for Buleen this campaign. So a big loss, but Caitlin Fran very much flexing her newfound squad depth. And has a number of ready-made replacements. See Holly Massey and Alana Cordolino, two of the front three, alongside Nia Saleh. This is Tanaka. Skips clear of Kane before Nishimura. Looks to release Amendolia. Ricardo just about ran into a dead end, but managed to reverse out of it. And now Maddie Rack. Cordolino just behind her teammate. Should mention as well, a bit of a milestone afternoon for Maddie Rakic, NPLW appearance number 50 for her. Of course, coming up against one of her former clubs as well this afternoon in Preston. So former Bayside Bentley player Heidelberg as well. It's very much done just about the full gauntlet of NPLW Victoria powerhouses, Maddie Rakic, but looks to have found a fairly comfortable place at right full back for Bulleen. Here she is on the ball now, lofting it over for Cordolino. Zoyce in the middle of the park for Buleen. Looks out to that left-hand side. One back, though, by Amendolia. Tanaka hoping for Ellie Lamont. Those two combining to great effect last campaign as Preston made not only the final of the Cup, but also the NPLW Grand Final. And now they have themselves a throw on that far side, which will be taken by Mizuho Yamada. Fair to say that the game has slowed down a little bit from that hectic first 1 or 2 minutes. Both teams now trying to weave their respective webs and get the game flowing the way that their coaches had drawn up in the change rooms. Checker with the powerful header towards Amendolia. We'll get another crack at it. Emma Checker. It's a firm coming together in the middle of the park as well. Looks as Grace Cagnina a little bit worse for wear, and there's space as a result for Preston. Ellie Lamont shifts it on to the left. And a dramatic save from Erin Hudson. Descended behind for a corner. Always looked fairly comfortable as it was in the air. Taking no chances. She flung herself to her right. Miri Nishimura to deliver. Sent into the heart of the box. Just about found the head of Rosie Curtis. Amendolia lofted to get back into the box, but straight into the gloves of Erin Hudson. This is the second meeting between these two teams this campaign. They did meet back in round 3 at the Veneto Club. That a game which threatened to kick-start Preston's season after a sluggish opening couple of weeks, coming away with a 3-0 win at the home of Buleen. It's no mean feat. Fortunately for Preston, though, they just haven't been able to turn that into a string of positive results, really at any stage of the campaign. And hence they find themselves in this position of teetering on the edge of elimination from finals contention. Kane retreats to Ocado, who steps out of the defensive line. Now Bridus thinks about passing it off, instead goes for a run herself. Eventually it's Rosie Curtis's intervention, which ends the attacking move. Henderson and Amendolia not quite on the same wavelength. And Rosie Curtis once again will be able to send Preston forward. Cross from Henderson met by Eliadis. We are seeing redeployed in that central defensive position. I've seen it before from Caitlin Friend, putting one of the more experienced heads in the back line. Always a curious decision for someone with such a prolific goal-scoring record in this competition. This is Rakic. Goes across towards Massey. A little bit too much on it, and Yamato takes no chances and sends it clear. Saw there some of the pressure applied by Preston as Dan Foden's yells for the press to come in and eventually forced the cough up from Ocado. Do you wonder sometimes how much the coach himself is the one making the players feel under the pump with those unmistakable yells? It worked on that occasion. Bulleen, though, are now playing out from defence through Zoyce. Uses Cagnena. Has Saleh inboard. Instead only to the feet of Nishimura. And Rosie Curtis will use Yamada. Lamont gets past Eliadis. Ellie Lamont gets their head up. Looks for the reverse pass. Barely unable to get it to the feet of Tanaka. Safe to say that Ellie Lamont's darting runs in behind, causing a little bit of trouble for the Buleen defence in the opening minutes. Now, though, both defences have done just enough to keep the scoreline level. Talevski into the feet of Amendolia, who turns and sprays it out to that right wing. Yamada charges to keep it in play and does so effectively. A really strong run from that right-hand side. Looks inboard to Lamont. Lamont's cross towards Tanaka. Across the face of goal. Buleen escape again. And once more, make their charge forward. A little drag back from Ellie Talevski will result in Preston's central defender being the first name in Caitlin Williams' notebook this afternoon. Massey using all of her guile to make sure that the referee wasn't going to miss that one. And now just a slightly more complicated challenge for the Preston defender for the remainder of this afternoon on that caution Eliadis is charged with the responsibility of delivering into the box. That one skidding right through both teams and out for a goal kick. Neither team as of yet able to take control of proceedings for an extended period. Buleen hoping to spend a little bit of time in the Preston half, and particularly this final third. Their opponents pinned right back at the minute. Brightus' cross though, that will relieve the pressure valve. Not the easiest of conditions this afternoon. You see the pitch a little bit worse for wear, having had to deal with the elements over the last 48 hours or so. Thankfully at kickoff, and hopefully for the duration of the game itself, the rain will stay away. Brightus looks towards Cordolino, met by the head of Johnston. Couple of A-League recruits for their respective teams. And it's the player who spent the season at Perth Glory who wins that little battle. Rakic. Cross inside, always favoured Talevski. Saleh, who did get on the score sheet in midweek, scored what ultimately proved to be the winning goal, a fantastic long-range effort. Hasn't really been able to get into any positions of particular threat up to this point in the game, and Matty Rakic's pass will roll through for a goal kick again. Both teams, you sense, still finding their passing range. Part of that, no doubt, attributable to the opposition, making life fairly uncomfortable for whoever has the ball at their feet. Again, the Preston attempt to play out from the back is put into effect. This time, though, Buleen have won it back. Often pinging those balls from one of the central defenders to one of the central midfielders and trying to go back to front in rapid fashion. They have won back the ball here, Preston, so we'll be able to head into the Buleen half if they choose. Instead, Lamont goes to Checker, who plays it across to Talevski. As mentioned, Preston coming into this afternoon off the back of those 3 straight defeats when they beat Buleen earlier this campaign. That set Caitlin Friend's team on a run of 3 straight losses of their own. Surprising, really, that either of these teams have been in that position this campaign. It's not been as smooth sailing for either up to this point. That is, of course, particularly the case for Preston, but you can see in this first half that they're more than capable of matching it with the level of the kinds of teams that you'd expect to be qualifying for finals. Amendolia uses Yamada. Cross inside, met by Ocado. Amendolia is the player. It's a powerful attempt. Cross the face of goal and wide of the post. Always willing to have a crack from long range, Eliza Amendolia. Lamont in a little bit of space. Ellie Lamont toe pokes it wide of the goalkeeper. Another really good opportunity for Preston. You wondered whether maybe Ellie Lamont was slightly ahead of the last defender. Not according to the assistant. And that would have stood had Ellie Lamont been able to find the back of the net. So both teams will be grateful to have escaped a few really good chances for their opponents. Eliadis and Zoyce trying to fashion a way out of their own defensive third. Ollie Massey coming deep to try help out, and Ellie Talevsky went with her. For Buleen, that win in the Nike Cup quarterfinals midweek against Alamein sends them through to the semis, where they'll host one of South Melbourne or Spring Hills, that final quarterfinal to come during the week. Still very much in contention for multiple pieces of silverware, really, Buleen. Although it will be hard work for anyone to catch Heidelberg, who have moved well clear on top, and even further so this weekend with South's win over Alamein. Now an 8-point gap between Heidelberg and South Melbourne, between first and second. For Buleen, if they were to win this afternoon, they'd be just the 1 point behind South in second spot. Zoyce almost turned into Henderson. It's a physical altercation between the Preston captain and Ava Bridus. Buleen still with possession. Aspects of this game really reflecting what we saw when these two teams met on some big stages last season. Both lean heavily on their pressing game and trying to get it right. We saw with those first couple of chances in the first 90 seconds that can be a real potent route to goal. Both leaning on that territory advantage and winning back the ball high up the pitch. Not wanting to give their opponents too many chances to do the same to them. So we see Checker and Talevsky patiently waiting for the right pass to materialise. Curtis was the player who sent it down the right flank, where Grace Johnston has popped up, having swapped sides with Yamada. Cordolino for Buleen. Looking inboard. And Rosie Curtis slipped as she attempted the clearance. So Buleen will have themselves a corner. Was from a corner situation that Bulleen got their opening goal against Spring Hills in their last league outing. Have for a long time been one of the most threatening set-piece teams in the division. Ball sent into the middle of the box where a pack of players converge. And Sarah Kane with an ambitious attempt. Ends up well over the crossbar of Maggie Byrne. Clever 1-2 between Yamada and Henderson. Ends up at the feet of Tanaka now. Wrestled with by Rakic, but it's the Preston player who wins out. It's a good cross as well. Just a little bit too much in front of Ellie Lamont. Looks back inboard. Amandoli is there. Tanaka as well. Falls eventually to Meba. Tanaka snatched at the shot a little bit. And again, Preston with a golden opportunity. That very well worked. Tanaka playing her role to great effect. They were patient enough and eventually found the opening they were after. Just the finishing touch not there. Brightest now for Buleen. Hasnia Saleh on the right-hand side. Saw maybe a little bit of frustration there for Bella Ricardo. Not sure where the next pass was coming. Had to turn around in a couple of circles to try find a release ball and ended up retreating to the goalkeeper. That'll very much please the Preston coaching staff, seeing their opponents unsure what to do with the ball at their feet. Sarah Kane, though, winning it back for Buleen. Leaves that one for Massey, who looks across to Rakic. Rakic goes herself and tipped over the bar by Maggie Byrne. Or in fact, there wasn't a touch. It was just onto the crossbar. Manny Rakic just reminding the Preston goalkeeper that the threat can come from maybe some less expected individuals as well. Paige Zoyce will again get the ball into the penalty area. The Preston defence has dealt with that really well in this first half. When those opportunities have presented themselves, they've been fairly deftly swept away. This is brightest though for Buleen. A good first touch to open up a bit of space. From a long way out, Ava Brightest. That's a wonderful finish. A brilliant little dink. Too much height for Maggie Byrne. And having escaped a number of golden chances for Preston, it's Buleen who have the lead at Jenna Steele Stadium. probably say she's looked like the most likely outlet for Buleen, Ava Brightus. She's scored some crackers at A-League level as well, but that one, a really important one for Buleen. And for Preston and Dan Foden, it will feel like the story of their season in just about 32 and a half minutes. More than matching their opposition, having some opportunities, unable to take them. And then the opposition go down the other end and get themselves a lead. And we know how dangerous it can be the minutes after a goal is scored. Buleen looking to take advantage of their momentum. This is Cordolino. Eventually met by the foot of Talevski. Massey. A wonderful cross that was in a corridor of uncertainty. Awkward for the goalkeeper to deal with, but unfortunately for Buleen, no one was there to tap it home. You can hear the Preston bench trying to re-energise their team. Of course, game style so built around that pressing. When you have one of those deflating moments as that was for Preston, are they able to re-energise in time to get themselves back into the game? They've got another corner to defend now. That goal means, as things stand, Buleen inside the top four, matching Alamein for both points and goal difference. And just the single point behind South Melbourne. Although still plenty of time in this match for that to change. Yamada, the player at the near post, to head it away. Zoyce tries for a second time. It's flicked on as well. Awkward for Byrne. And turned home by Accardo. A nightmare for the Preston goalkeeper. But in the right place to take advantage was the Buleen defender. And just like that, after a hard-fought, evenly contested first 45, Buleen lead 2-0 at BT Connor Reserve. Isabella Ricardo, one of the players brought into the starting 11 today. And it's a change that's paid dividends for Caitlin Friend. There is some concern in the aftermath for Maggie Byrne. You might have been able to have picked up some of the discontent from both Dan Foden and Emma Checker. Not happy that there was no free kick awarded to Maggie Byrne. Looks to have copped a bit of a knock in attempting to deal with that ball. Buleen won't care though. They've got their 2 goals. And the challenge for Preston becomes all the greater. Do you get the sense that for Preston, they need to get back in this ASAP? Tanaka's in a good position. She finished off the chance, but the offside flag was raised. You get the sense from a Preston perspective that they need to get themselves back in this game before the halftime whistle, ideally with a goal. But if Buleen are able to come out for the second 45 with a 2-0 lead, feeling as if the game's exactly where they want it, it'll be an almighty task to overturn that scoreline. Buleen, though, the game is in quick fashion turned dramatically in their favour. And you can see just the extra bit of confidence in every touch and every pass in the team right now. They wouldn't be ruling out a third before the halftime interval. This is Rakic on the right-hand side. Massey points to where she wants it. Instead, near Saleh is the attempted release. Ricardo, the scorer of the second goal. Grace Cagnina on the left-hand side. Uses the run from Cordelino. Never favoured to get there ahead of Curtis, and you see the thump into the fence, but quickly bounces back to her feet. Curtis attempting to lead the charge from defence. Bridus with the touch for Massey. Rakic returns it to the striker. Some nice combination play from Buleen. Saleh's cross in to the feet of Cordelino. It's Massey sliding to try and get a shot away. The final touch coming off a Preston defender trying to avoid the danger. And right now everything is going in the favour of Buleen. That ball sent in awkward for Maggie Byrne, who did well to get a fist and clear the ball somewhat. Chance still alive though for Buleen. Bridus kept her feet. Eventually the retreat comes in back to Cordelino. Back up to Bridus, but read by Amendolia. Now Lamont. And they were hoping to take advantage of all the space on the counter Preston, but that was an excellent challenge from Maddie Rakic. And now Ricardo can contemplate crossing it back into the box. Instead goes the patient approach with Cordolino. Ricardo again, who finds herself in an unfamiliar left wing position for an extended period. Eventually, Buleen happy to recycle and try their luck down the other flank. Cross from Saleh, it's curling back into the box. Bodies flying everywhere, but Preston get the ball away. Izzy Ricardo still in the attacking play. Paige Joyce skimming off the top of the crossbar. Very nearly trebling the Bulleen advantage in a matter of about 15 minutes. And eventually the play will be stopped. I think it's Isabella Ricardo who's just a little bit worse for wear from that last attempt, where she threw her body trying to turn it goalward. It's got a taste for goals this afternoon and wanting to add to her tally, the central defender. Well, as things stand, it looks like the unusual pattern from last season where Buleen and Preston met home and away, and on both occasions the away team won. Preston continued that run at the Ven earlier this campaign, and it looks as if Buleen are on track for another win at BT Connor. That is, of course, unless Preston can turn this game right on its head. They'd do themselves a massive favour if they were able to start that comeback before the halftime break. As we head into the final seconds of the regulation 45. Preston on the attack. Eliadis there to clear it. Nishimura and Bridus wrestling, as were Massey and Talevsky. Massey winning out, couldn't quite get it to near Saleh on the right wing. And we will play at least 3 more minutes in this first half. Time enough for Preston to get that goal they desperately crave. Checker picks out Lamont. Turned one way, then the other. The numbers, though, pay dividends for Buleen. Saleh. This is Zoyce. Kane in a bit of space. Hoping for Cordolino, who should get onto this one. And indeed keeps the ball in play. Looks inboard to Bridus. Not her best attempt, and eventually Grace Johnston gets it clear. Get another chance. And Johnston doing well to win her team the throw. Into the final 90 seconds that we expect to be played in this first half. Preston trying to creep their way forward, but again, it's been all Buleen the last 15 minutes. Eliadis stealing in ahead of Lamont. That's a clever ball from Bridus. Narrowly too much on it for Zoyce. Sarah Kane coming away with it after a duel with Amendolia. Massey skips past Talevsky. Holly Massey. Oh, it's a brilliant finish. Rifling it in off the post. Buleen grabbed their third before the break, and they are well on their way to a return to the top four. A thunderous attempt. Nothing really that Maggie Byrne could do about that one. It's been a dream last 20 minutes for Caitlin Friend and her team. And with more or less the last kick of the first half, Holly Massey makes it Preston Lions 0, Bulleen Lions 3. A superb first half display from the visitors, mainly found in that final 15 or 20 minutes after what was a hotly contested and even opening to the contest. It's the visitors who now find themselves in pole position with still 45 minutes to play. It's a mountain of a task for Preston. They'll have to come out with a renewed vigour if they are to have any hope of taking something from this afternoon's game. But that's half time. Second half underway at BT Connor Reserve. Welcome back to the NPL Victoria YouTube page for a second half which poses Preston a substantial task. 3-0 down at home and staring down the barrel of a fourth consecutive home defeat as Buleen Lions went on a 15-20 minute spell where they just about took this game away from their opponents. It's Bulleen who have rung the changes at the break in any case. Get confirmation on exactly who all the movements are, but Maddie Rakic and Grace Cagnina are definitely two of the players who have been withdrawn. Miller Bullich, Leah Privatelli and Annie Yates all onto the park for Caitlin Friend. Looking as if Nia Saleh may be the third player to have been withdrawn. So Saleh, Rakic and Cagnina out. Bullich, Privatelli and Yates in. Caitlin Friend taking the opportunity to make use of her much deeper squad that she has access to now. With her team well on the way to jumping up into third position on the NPLW ladder, just 1 point behind South Melbourne in second. They just need to see off this next 45 without anything going disastrously wrong for that to be the case. Here is Leah Privatelli. Another one of the returning faces for Buleen in mid-season from Melbourne Victory. Very much a legend of both clubs now. And she's won her team an early corner. Corner sent in. It's a Preston head that gets to it first. Tanaka looking to release Lamont. Here is Annie Yates. Lost her feet as she attempted to step out of the defensive line. Checker has Amendolia making the overlapping run. That's where she goes with the pass. Amendolia's cross is a good one and finished off by Meba Tanaka. And Preston Lions have life. Their first attack of the second half. And that time they make it pay. A wonderful ball in from Eliza Amendolia. And a composed finish from Tanaka to match. And just like that, things getting a little bit more nervy for Buleen. In the opening few minutes, Preston Lions will not be going away without a fight. This is Miller Bullich. Looks out towards Privatelli. Tanaka releases Lamont. Lamont skips around Ricardo. Has Yates running back. Goes herself, Ellie Lamont. Wasn't able to get the direction on the ball she needed. Despite being 3-1 up, this will be a really challenging spell for Buleen. Dealing with a re-energized Preston outfit. This is Ava Bridus. Scorer of the second goal for Buleen. This is Yates now. Out towards Cordolino. Kicks one way, then the other. Falling to the edge of the area. Sarah Kane. Audacious attempt, well over the crossbar. Lamont looking to use her pace to get past Eliadis. Did so really effectively, Ellie Lamont. Again, Tanaka is the target. The offside flag, though, coming to the rescue of Buleen. Saw Erin Hudson darting off her line. Could well have left the nearer side of the goal very much exposed. The good news from a neutral perspective, 5 minutes into this second half, is it's fair to say that this game is far from over, despite the 3-0 halftime scoreline. Eliadis into Bridus. Gets past Nishimura. Massey rewards the run of Kane, who was hoping for a run down the left-hand side that wasn't coming. Just a little bit rattled, Bulleen, in these first 6 or 7 minutes. Well, with Preston's season more or less on the line, they've got nothing to lose. They'll have to throw everything at this second 45. Bullich, met by both Amendolia and Lamont, and it's Amendolia with the crunching challenge. Crossfield pass towards Yates. This is Miller Bullich. Hoping for Privatelli, met instead by Yamada. Curtis's pass. Picked up by Lamont. Asks a lot of Meba Tanaka. I think there was a little coming together, tangle of legs between Tanaka and Eliadis. Referee happy there was nothing untoward and content for play to continue. Bullich. Bridus. Opening up some space on her right. Well-timed challenge by Curtis. Of course, on her Melbourne Victory teammate, and Bridus still on the deck. Cross sent in for Buleen. Could actually fall right back to Ava Bridus, who still doesn't look totally comfortable. Massey got around Nishimura, but the cross was into the gloves of Maggie Byrne. So often we see these scenarios where one team's got a substantial deficit at half-time. They come out for the second half with plenty of energy. But if the team with the lead can just ward off most of the attacks and get through the first maybe 15-20 minutes, perhaps then the Preston attack will falter. That goal, though, will do a great deal of good for the Preston cause, just in terms of instilling that belief that they are able to mount this comeback. Johnston's offside. And with 10 minutes gone in this second half, Erin Hudson spreads the play out towards Bullich. See that strapping on Bullich's left wrist forearm area, that where she sustained that injury which kept her out for a number of weeks. Lamont is also offside. And the accumulation of offside offences will certainly start to frustrate Preston if they aren't able to correct them sooner rather than later. Bullich, hoping for Privatelli, might get another bite at the cherry. In fact, it rolls all the way through to Izziacardo. This game for Preston, the 5th in a series of 7 straight home games that they're getting to play. It is a relevant consideration when you look at their as yet unimpressive league form. Although the fact that the last 3 defeats have all been here maybe tells you that that's not all it can be put down to. But if they are able to turn this one around and even just a result, you go into 2 massive games, both also here at BT Connor against Essendon Royals and Boroondara in the next couple of weeks. They will not be easy tasks for Dan Foden's team, but we know how good they can be when they get on a run. And that run needs to start this afternoon. This is Johnston. Looks inboard to Lamont. It's an excellent ball. Ellie Lamont through on goal. Unable to make the right kind of contact. Just losing her footing at the crucial time, and that made things much more straightforward for Erin Hudson. Buleen readying another change at the next break of play. Yuka Sato getting ready to be introduced, and the opportunity for that change may indeed come now. As Holly Massey, the scorer of the 3rd goal, is withdrawn. Heading into the final just over half an hour of the 90 minutes. So a bit of a reshuffle for Caitlin Friend. Yuka Sato, nominally a central midfielder, taking that position, but maybe playing in a bit more advanced of a role. Also, Ava Bridis very much prepared to step into that number 9 position. Lamont. Well-timed challenge from Eliadis. Nishimura across to Checker. Very nearly won back by Cordolino, and then she would have been clean through on goal. Instead, though, for Preston, it's another foray forward. Tanaka uses the underlapping Johnston run. Puts it to the edge of the area. Amendolia off the crossbar, and somehow the ball stays clear. The offside flag, I think, has gone up again. And Eliza Amendolia very nearly getting the second Preston goal. Desperate for one of these chances to break their way, Preston. They got the one at the start of the half from Tanaka. So much time for Eliza Amendolia there to set herself and pull the trigger. Nishimura up towards Tanaka. Henderson trying to latch onto the loose ball. Yates shepherding it through for Hudson. Annie Yates, one of the mid-season recruits. Not one who we can say has directly rejoined Buleen, having spent a number of seasons in the FE Academy team. This is Leah Privatelli through on goal. Maggie Byrne put her body on the line. And you can see neither player is exactly in a great state after the coming together. So we'll have a brief pause in play to check on the welfare of both Leah Privatelli and Maggie Byrne. It's been a rough afternoon for the Preston goalkeeper. And we saw her get some treatment after that second Buleen goal. Byrne, of course, back into the starting 11 this afternoon, replacing Sophie Dean, who is a ready-made replacement on the bench. If indeed Byrne is unable to continue. Leah Privatelli is at least okay and back on her feet. The break also perhaps coming at a somewhat opportune time for Buleen. In terms of halting any momentum that Preston might have otherwise been building. That last Amendolia shot coming off the crossbar. We certainly hope that it's not too severe an ailment for Maggie Byrne. Joined Preston this season from Brunswick Juventus. She made a handful of starts last campaign, has been given plenty of runs out this season. Dan Foden very happy to trust younger goalkeepers, as he's shown in the last few years, and the hand signal came in, which suggests that it will be a premature end to the game for the goalkeeper, Maggie Byrne. So certainly wish her all the best, and that's not too severe of an injury that she's sustained. Does, though, pave the way for Sophie Dean to make her bow. Sophie Dean brought in from the FE Academy team in the off-season, swapping places with Charlotte Horrison. Another player also with Melbourne Victory Association, Sophie Dean, having spent some time training with the club. But she'll now step in between the sticks for the remainder of this affair, as her team continues their attempts to wrestle back an opening and maybe give themselves a chance at taking something from this game in what would be a most extraordinary of turnarounds. We've seen that they're more than capable of doing so. Talevsky uses Checker, who looks inboard to Nishimura. Amendolia, who's been such a central feature of really Preston's entire game, both executing the press and now in these attacking moves, got the assist for that Tanaka goal. Yates thought about retreating, but Tanaka blocked that path and forced her forward. Now Cordolino looking to get past Johnston. Goes with the cross. Henderson there, taking no chances. And the end result is a Buleen corner. Or maybe slight miscommunication as to what the plan was for that corner delivery. Sarah Kane recovered the ball and eventually sent into the box, but offside flag is raised, so not the best use of that opportunity from Buleen. Making a little bit of a mess of things. So the challenge for Preston is, can they one more time make that charge, have that spell that they need? Ellie Lamont set away, gets past Eliadis Lamont. And from one end to the other, now it's Preston with the corner opportunity. That run forward looks as if it will be the final contribution of Ellie Lamont's afternoon. Certainly posed plenty of attacking threat, even if the finishing touch wasn't quite there. For Lamont, who's had a fairly disrupted campaign. She'll be withdrawn and replaced by Valentine Percy, the regular up top for Preston this campaign. Far and away the team's leading scorer, 9 to her name. And Nishimura doesn't get the corner right. So Dan Foden making his move, bringing the player brought across from the UK this campaign. Goal this afternoon taking her into double digits for the season. And could also go a long way in Preston's cause to complete a comeback and to keep their season still alive. Fair to say, a lack of urgency about the restart for Buleen. Happy to soak up some seconds from the clock. Pass from Tanaka. Couldn't pick out a teammate. Now Cordolino loses out to a taller foe. Curtis. Hoping for Yamada. A little bit too much on the ball though. So the question for Buleen is whether they're happy to sit back and try absorb the Preston attacks that will inevitably come for the remainder of the second half, or whether they look to get back on the front foot a little bit. Those 20 minutes at the end of the first half, it was all Buleen, and Preston didn't really have any answers. But for now, looking like they're maybe happy to play a little bit more conservatively as they try to get late enough in this game that their lead feels a little bit more comfortable. Clever touch from Privatelli for Bridus, who looks out towards Sato. Yuka Sato inboard to Zoyce. And now Kane out for Cordolino. This is Miller Bullich. Now Bridus. Being very patient with possession at the minute, Buleen. Bit of a wrestle for possession between Sato and Yamada. The end result is a Buleen throw, which Miller Bullich will take. Still just a little bit of nervous tension emanating from the Buleen bench as they know they're not home and hosed yet. That attempted Preston attack, one of their less effective ones. Bullich now looks for Privatelli, who will go head-to-head with her younger Melbourne Victory teammate Rosie Curtis. This is Bridus, another one of the contingent, but that one into the gloves of Sophie Dean. That's a great ball from Tanaka for Eliza Amendolia. Percy there making the supporting run. Maybe had to go herself, Amendolia. Was through on goal and had that little bit of space. Wanted the more accomplished finisher maybe to be the one to take the chance. Yamada getting there first to get it to Percy. That's a lovely pass for Johnston. Offside again, though. It was a wonderful finish from Johnston as well. Nothing the goalkeeper could do about it. Right in the top corner. But once more, the offside flag denies Preston. Yamada again, timing that one well and wins a foul from the referee. As we head towards the final 15 minutes of the regulation 90. Certainly can't accuse Preston of stopping their endeavours to wrestle their way back into this contest. Now, more than ever, they need the goal to come. Curtis's cross inside. It'll fall out to the feet of Checker. Thought about leaving it for Amendolia. Instead, it's the centre-back who crosses inside. Percy with the header. And Preston cut the deficit to 1 goal now as Valentine Percy scores goal number 10 of the campaign. A wonderful cross from Emma Checker. And the substitute Percy enters double digits and with it keeps the Preston heartbeat going. Is there to be an almighty turnaround on the cards? At the moment, the traffic is heading in one direction. What can Buleen muster by way of a response? You see the aggression from the Preston striker. She's got her teeth right into this game. Buleen will be grateful for a dead ball opportunity in the opposition half, relieving a little bit of pressure on the defensive line. Soyce's ball inside. Brightus now. From a long way out, Ava Brightus. Dipping late. Just for a second, you thought maybe Sophie Dean was in trouble. And now for the first time since cutting the margin to 1 goal, it's Preston who look to find that elusive third. Cordellino's touch lets her down. They have scored 3 or more goals on 4 separate occasions this season in NPLW have Preston. And of course includes the earlier meeting between these clubs at the Veneto Club. We're involved in that 4-3 thriller against Bentley earlier in the campaign too. Ball for Johnston. Off her line is Hudson. Gets the ball clear for Buleen. Preston, though, they are coming. Putting all the pressure in the world on their visitors. That throw in towards Percy. Instead, it almost fell to Johnston. Amendolia. Right into the gloves of Hudson. Sato for Bulleen. Just in possession. Play breaking down for Bulleen. They're not finding a way to relieve that pressure just by controlling the ball. Erin Hudson has been busy in this second 45 and again collapses on the ball. It's not too often that you hear Caitlin Friend getting vocal from her technical area and starting to yell out some instructions to her team. Tension continues to build and Preston have the ball once more. Dean. Looks long and upfield. Johnston could be through again. Grace Johnston. Wonderful save from Hudson. Follow-up falls to the feet of Georgia Henderson. Snatching at that finish and pokes it well wide of the goal. Just with the way that the game feels at the moment, you can't imagine Preston not getting another really high quality look or two on Aaron Hudson's goal. And Buleen still struggling to find a way to stop the rot. And Mendolia got there ahead of Kane. Retreats to Checker. Back to Amendolia. Now Henderson. The touch into the path of Percy. It was Yamada making the run on the far side. Henderson instead almost winning it back inside the penalty area. Zoyce doing just enough to get past Nishimura. There's Amendolia again, but illegally winning back the ball according to the referee. Yuka Sato doing her bit to relieve the tension. And that yellow card presumably going to Dan Foden on the Preston bench. One back by Amendolia. Central runs coming from Johnston and Percy. Great challenge from Miller Bullich. Does concede the corner, but blocking the cross. Could this be the route back level for the Preston Lions? Eliza Amendolia to send it in into the heart of the box as well. The Buleen heads get onto it. There's a follow-up shot. Decent attempt fired in by Tanaka, but Aaron Hudson happy to gobble that one up. Cordolino now for Buleen. Has numbers in the box. It's Brightus who was closest to it, but Nishimura the crucial intervention. And Mendolia gets it to her central midfield partner. Now Tanaka. See the tiring legs for both teams. Johnston accelerates towards this one. Couldn't get there before Hudson. Has left the Preston player prone on the deck as well. So we may well have another brief stoppage as Grace Johnston gets some medical attention. Really did throw everything trying to get to that last ball ahead of Erin Hudson. Goalkeeper who's been off her line more often than not in this second 45. So we'll see if That injury will force Johnston out of the game as well. Doesn't look totally comfortable just at the minute, but it will give her team maybe the chance to reset and prepare for one final thrust at this game. Johnston escorted from the field of play. And Preston are readying their final roll of the dice. The triple substitution, it looks, getting ready to be sent in as they make their final charge for the afternoon. Ball up towards Percy, cleared away. Bridus did well, and Privatelli takes over. Has Yamada and Amendolia for company. Liza Amendolia, who has been relentless in this second half, but ends up coughing up the corner. So a really good result for Buleen. Well worked by Leah Privatelli. Preston will look to defend this corner before making any of those substitutions. And you see Buleen leaving a number of numbers back, ready to defend any possible counter. It skims off a couple of heads before landing at the feet of Emma Checker. Finds Tanaka and now Johnston, who's back on the park. Sent up towards Percy. That's a good first touch from Grace Johnston to get past Annabelle Yates. Percy makes the run. That's where the ball heads. Unable to take it under a spell, though, and Amendolia never getting there ahead of Hudson. Just 2 minutes remaining of the 90. Checker heads it forward towards Henderson, who cops a legal shove from Sarah Kane. Now Yates trying to pick out Privatelli. Talevsky got there ahead of her opponent. And with that break and play, the substitutions should come. So Talevsky, the player who made that latest defensive intervention, one of the players withdrawn, alongside Amendolia. It's been a powerhouse in midfield all afternoon. And Grace Johnston, the last player removed. The three players coming in: Caitlin Tomal, Summer Kapanekia, and Eva Harrington. So very happy to entrust a couple of his younger soldiers, Dan Foden, for these final few minutes. And maybe a chance to make somewhat of a name for themselves, the likes of Tomal and Kapanekia. Eva Harrington, a bit more of an established force at this level. Here is Tomal, making life very uncomfortable for Ricardo. Percy, her pass is blocked by Zoyce. Ishimura, toe poking it back towards Tomal. And Sarah Kane taking no chances. Find out in a moment how much stoppage time we will get. One final attacking press for Preston. 5 minutes of stoppage time to be played. 5 minutes for Preston to complete the comeback. 3-0 down at the halftime break. They've scrapped and clawed their way back in with a chance with just a handful of minutes left on the clock. Throwing just about every outfield player into this attacking phase of play. Rosie Curtis will send it in. Get some nice whip on that. Narrowly over the head of Percy. Zoyce doing her defensive task. And Curtis looks to repeat the trick. This time it falls out to Checker. Zoyce again. Crunching effort from Henderson. Cross sent in by Kapanekia. This is Percy, Valentine Percy. Wide of the target. There's still time for Preston. 3.5 minutes or so of it. Erin Hudson, though, will take as many of those seconds off the clock as she can before getting play back underway. Kapanekia. Out to Tamal. Trying to skip past Ducato, and a decent effort from the youngster who just lost her footing at the crucial moment. Buleen trying to scramble it clear. Henderson with the block. Reaching for a leg as well with that last stretched attempt. Captain Henderson deciding there's no time to be pulling up lane, but it's not looking good for the Preston number 50. The ball will come to her now. She lofts it inside the area. Hudson again comes to claim. That's really solid goalkeeping. Made a bit of contact with Annabelle Yates as well in the process. But at this point, anywhere will do for Buleen. Up towards Briders, Henderson soldiering on. You can see she's really struggling with that leg. Chance to seal the game on the counter for Buleen. Privatelli inboard to Briders. Slipping again at the crucial moment, Nishimura. Hoping to find Tanaka, but Yates read the ball well. And this is an excellent run from Anna Yates down the right-hand side. Cross into the area. Sophie Dean always favourite. Tamal met by Zoyce. And with Privatelli on the left-hand side, she will perhaps head towards the corner flag. And very happy to win the throw. Into what we expect will be the final 60 seconds of action. Maybe time for one last counter-attacking move from Preston. Buleen, though, will do their best just to keep it locked in this part of the pitch. Got themselves another throw. Preston do get the ball back. They've got to go now. Valentine Percy a long way back. For a team that needs the goal. They've got the throw again. How generous will Caitlin Williams be? Fears coming together. That's full time. And Buleen hang on. Back inside the top four. A dominant end to the first half ends up paying off. And despite a valiant fight back from the Preston Lions, there was to be no comeback complete. for Dan Foden and his team. They suffer a fourth consecutive loss at home as well, as their season continues to slip away. For Buleen, though, they've still got it all to play for heading into the final couple of months of the season. Now just a point off second place South Melbourne, with the Nike Cup semi-finals to come over the next month or so as well. A thrilling contest at BT Connor Reserve. 3 first-half goals for Preston, or for Buleen rather. 2 for Preston in the second, as they attempted their fight back. But in the end, Buleen did just enough to claim all 3 points. Full-time score in Melbourne's North. Preston Lions 2, Buleen Lions 3.